Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Grow Younger Cell Regeneration Made Easy. Today, we are going to jump in and do some bone regeneration. And I've got some nice slides prepared for you, and I've also prepared a chart for you. So everyone will get some homework that'll actually be kind of spelled out. And let me show you what we're going to be working on with the bone regeneration. And yeah, please sign in, say hello. I'd love to see who's on the call. And I hope you had a really good week working on your regeneration of the teeth, the gums, and the jaw this week. Here we go. I'm going to just show you what you're going to be getting for homework this week. We'll be working on bones, but also you're going to have this wonderful chart just going to kind of tell you what you need to be thinking about and what you need to be doing. So in the area of knees, here's the clearings, this possible spiritual interferences, regeneration steps, and then the emotional aspects of the knees, sort of the metaphysical reason for maybe a problem in the knees or a problem in the hips and spine. I also mapped out. So you'll have a nice chart to work off of while you're working on your regeneration of your bones. And welcome everyone! Yay! I see Barbara and Margaret and Rose, Vina, Carol, Helena, Mary, Susan, Wendy, Sybil, Limi, Sharon, and all of you who signed in before I started reading the chat box, welcome. We actually have about 450 students in this class. It's really exciting to see such a nice interest in this particular class. So anyway, let's get started. We have so much to do today on bone regeneration. I want to cover a whole lot with you. So we'll go right to our PowerPoint next. Okay, and we're back to our Grow Younger process. Let's see if we can make that a little bigger. Oh yeah, we can. Great. There we go. That's as big as I can get it on the screen. Okay. So today's regeneration, as I said, is of healthy bones. And let's just go through one more time muscle testing and the quantum pump. Okay, and so muscle testing, so when you get your chart, you'll be able to test, is this a problem for me? So you'll be able to test bloodline. Is bloodline a problem in bones for me? And I get a yes, it is. And so then that would be something that I could clear with the quantum pump. So your right hand, your ring finger extended out, held very firmly. Your left hand, point your finger, pushing down, and that's between the first and second knuckle. I push really close to the second knuckle. And then it's holding if it's true. And if I'm Bozo the Clown, it's of course dropping. So if it's not true, it drops and the muscle becomes weak. So that's a very simple explanation for muscle testing. However you know how to muscle test, if you do, any way is good. That's just the way I teach. You can go through it really quickly. You can go through a lot of different numbers. Say if you're testing, do I have 1,000 or 2,000? You can go through this really fast. Boom-bitty, 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 boom. So that's the reason that I teach it with the fingers. Okay, and then the quantum pump. And I just want to show you again that the quantum pump is the hand extending out, and your elbow is down at your waist, and your hand is just going forward and back. And it's not really like this. That would make your hand really tired. It's more like a reflex, just moving forward like that. It's funny, there's a little delay, so I can see myself on the screen a second later. It's funny to watch. Oh, thank you, Nazim. Great to be here again, and chart looks wonderful. Thank you. You are so welcome. And I see Heather and Penny and Marla, Vanessa, Allison, Melanie, Audrey, Julie, Emily. Yay. Yeah, a little bit of a delay between the audio and video. Oh, okay, that's what's going on. All right, so we know how to pump, right? Everybody is pumping. You just pump, pump, pump. And if you see on a chart, because I think I provided you quite a few charts, last week, the doorknob is sometimes used for removing spiritual parasites. This is not a spiritual parasite class, but I just want to show you that it looks like this. It looks like you're holding onto a doorknob, and the movement is at the wrist, and not just the wrist, so the whole forearm is also moving when you do the doorknob. And when you do it fast, it looks kind of like that, but you can, when you do it like this. And you're not having your hand tense, it's just a different quantum pump. So your hand isn't tense, it's just in a different shape. Slightly different movement. And then the third movement I believe I taught you is chopping. This is just the quantum pump with both hands alternatively. So one goes forward while the other goes back. And none of that is used for regeneration. It's just used, those are techniques used for clearing. The chopping is when we're clearing an illness. So if you have like a virus or a degenerative illness or a tumor, you would use this technique. So that would be when you use that technique. The pump is for regeneration. So this very simple pump is what we use for regeneration. Hi, okay, so I see Darlene, Marty, Allison. Anyone know where to find the homework? Yeah, the homework is actually sent out in an email about an hour, couple hours after the class, and then it's on a landing page. So you'll get homework today, and you'll have the landing page for both last week's homework and this week's homework. So if you didn't get it, but if during the week you seem to, really need it and you can't find it, you can do two things. You can contact support@julierenee.com, or you can search your email for the follow-up email for the class. And then if you want to, you could bookmark the page that has the homework. So you'll get the homework both in the email, and then you click through and there's where everything is. So it's all in one place. Okay, I see lots more people. Allison, Diana, Doreen, Allison, Glenn. Glenn, so if you, here's one thing that I noticed. Some of you had different emails that you paid for your class on. So you bought the class from one of the telesummits, and or that your email wasn't entered properly, and so you're not getting some of the emails that we send, or any. So just, you can contact support@julierenee.com if you don't get the follow-up email. But if you got the email today for the class, you should get the email today for the after the class replay. But you can always contact support@julierenee.com if you're you haven't seen the follow-up email, because we send it to all the same email addresses that we do to send the announcement of the class. So, and then we're actually, the charts and everything is on a delivery page. So you're not getting the charts actually in the email, you're getting the homework. The email will say the homework, and then you'll click through and you can see the video, the audio, the transcripts. The transcripts are added a week later. So this week you'll see the transcripts from last week being added. So that'll be there for you. And then you'll see charts and other things, whatever I am putting in there for supplemental materials. Okay, so I hope that explains it. And if you haven't gotten the replay on the day that we do the class, you need to contact support, because maybe something has happened in I don't know, magic technology world where yours disappeared in the ethers. So the landing page is there. Once you have the landing page, you can go right there to all of the classes. So all 4 of the classes will be there with all the homework. Yay, Taz. Hi, Taz. Miwok, Helena, and Christy, Rosemary, Cassandra, Sharon, Mohammed, and another Sharon, and Marie, and Angie. Hi, everybody. I love you. Yay. It's a good class. Okay, so we've gone over muscle testing again, and we've reviewed the 3 different kinds of quantum pump that you may see. The quantum pump we're using for this class only is the straightforward single-handed quantum pump, but I realize you're going to see charts, and I want you to be able to know what those other hand styles are. So let's go ahead and start pumping for clearing bone degeneration and osteoporosis, problems with bone density, brittle bones, bones and broken and fractured bones, leukemia, which is a bone illness, bone disorders, bone diseases, degenerative disc. And you put in your, you fill in the blank. So you've got other things that maybe affect your bones. Go ahead and add that to the list as you're pumping. And then we're going to go into the clearings today are focused on knees, hips, and spine, restoring the bones protocol. And the first thing that we do, oops, I'll make this just a tiny bit smaller so you can see the whole slide, is clear issues directing failure of bones. And so we're going to go through all of these: bloodline, Lucifer stops, demonic curses, satanic curses, evil spirit curses, memes and miasms, which are group mind and group mind virus, black magic, curses, trauma, atheist thought forms, DNA, cycles, and timelines, holographic inserts, implants, mechanisms, portals, permeations, wormholes, alien type 3, 5, and 8, evil spirits, demons, transmortals, entities, and guides. So all of those can negatively affect your bone health and or prevent you from really healing your bones. What I'd like you to be doing is pumping right now. Everybody's pumping to do a clearing, and then at about in about 18 minutes we'll start doing the regeneration. So I'd like to get a good bit of clearing in before we start the regeneration. Okay. Patricia, Julie, what about cartilage and disc, joints of the bone? Can they be resolved if damaged from hardware in the joint? Thank you. Yes, actually you would use the exact same directions for cell regeneration in the bones, in the cartilage, in the discs. Absolutely the same style of regeneration. And you know, maybe what I'm going to do as we're clearing is just take you down so you can see the steps. So for bone regeneration, you're going to imagine tree roots growing together. And so you're going to just imagine that those roots grow together. And that actually, you can't really see that, but it's kind of fun to see that. So they're all growing together, and that's how bones grow. Okay? Let's see. We're going to do the pump to reinitiate 100% function from the blueprint of all parts of the bone. And this is actually in the middle here. This is what a healthy bone looks like. This is what a bone looks like when it has osteoporosis. So, you know, it doesn't look as, to me, as spongy, and, you know, this looks kind of more crispy. So, and then we're working on all parts of the bone, so the interior of the bone as well as the exterior of the bone. So all the components of the bone, not just the outer part of the bone. And then we do an amplification of new bone growth, which means that the bone actually does do its mending pretty much on the spot, but we can, you know, amplify new bone growth. And one of the things you can do let me just show you on the chart. So we'll go back to the chart that we're going to send you for homework with. So one of the things that you can do in the regeneration steps is the quantum pump. So we're clearing dark energies, and obviously you do these clearings first, the clearings, spiritual interferences, which we're doing now. And then you'd pump to restore the blueprint bones to your physical bones. So in the astral exists your blueprint, your perfected blueprint, where the bones are in good shape. And degenerative bones only happen in the physical body. They don't happen in the blueprint. And so you're pumping to restore the blueprint bones into your body. So essentially the same thing that you've done with the cells, where you brought the master cell back to 100%. You're bringing the physical bones back to 100%. And then you can test using muscle testing. You can test to see, did I get that to 100%? You know, it might take quite a while. It might take a few hours to get your bones to 100%. And then you can, once you've tested 100%, you can test if a second and additional regenerations is needed to maintain 100%. And then how long before you do it? Like, for example, I'm going to do another bone regeneration, or I'm going to work on my knee, you know, meniscus or whatever in 10 days. And so you could test 1 day, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 23 days. You can test and see. And your body will tell you when you would do the next regeneration if you need one. And not every time that you do a bone regeneration do you need one. It's really interesting if you look at this. If you have bad knees, so you know that yourself, you've got bad knees, they're testing at a low percentage, you probably have 40 to 70 hours of pumping to make good headway on restoring the knees. Average knees, though, if you have kind of normal knees that don't give you any trouble, probably 4 hours of pumping can restore freshness. So I just want you to understand that it's amazing, and bone regeneration is really quite easy to do. It's just a matter of pumping and knowing. So it's kind of just allowing the body to reboot itself and allowing the body to regrow and just setting the momentum in the right direction. Now I see a lot of questions, and I just wonder if I might have just answered everything by going through those steps, but I'll start with, let's see. Okay, so first of all, for anybody, I see someone has trouble, Sabine has trouble pumping. Let's see, what do you do? What do I recommend? Okay, so if you have problems pumping, pump when you can, and then imagine that you're pumping when you can't. That's my best recommendation. And like I said, I have students from East India who have pumped with their hands and their feet, and feet will do about 70% of what hands will do. So please just do your very best, and if you're very best, if you don't have hands, then just imagine it in your mind. Just imagine that hand is pumping in your mind. That'll be good. Okay, and will this help with the wax dripping effect of decay of bones? I don't exactly know what that means. That's a question from Maria, but I believe it would help with anything because this restores the bones to 100%. Okay, and Margaret, sick from lead and mercury poisoning affects the bones. What intention should I have? That's an interesting one. So when you're removing toxicity from bones, you would be doing the chopping because that's an illness. So I would be doing this. I would be imagining that the toxicity is leaving the bones and it's being flushed out beautifully and going out the liver and, you know, through the bile and wherever, over the river and through the woods. I would imagine it disappearing. So whether it goes through your system or disappears into the ethers, that's what I would do. And also, if you have a situation where you have chemical toxicity, remember a time when you didn't have chemical toxicity. So maybe it's when you were 10 and you were in really great shape. So that's another thing where you can have that image of yourself as much younger and not having the problem. That would be good. Okay, let's see here. Alana has asked how to get rid of dysplasia, deformation of hip joint, which causes mobility difficulties. Well, if it's actually a deformation, like you've gotten some additional bone growth, like some extra calcium, one of the things that you could do is pump and go through all of the stuff. I think let's look at this, because excess calcium causes bone growth a lot of times. So let's see. Bloodline is one for that one. Curses is another one. Implants, permeations, demons, and those would be ones I would clear it for specifically for your issue. And just know what I've found is when there's bone pain, it's usually demons. I mean, I listed the other possible spiritual interferences, but 90% of the time, demons are what are problematic to the bones. So you want to clear the demons. Okay. What if you've had 5 hip replacements, 3 and 2? Can you remove the? That's for Angie. You know, I really don't know that you would be successful in growing it back. Not once you've removed the hips. So what I would do is I would work on getting everything to work a whole lot better that you do have. So I don't know about growing back bones when they're already gone. You can, but I just don't see anybody really powerful enough to do that. We do grow back glands and organs once in a while, but you'd have to live without them. I don't think you could convince a doctor to take out the hips and have nothing there. I think it would be really hard to convince them that I'm going to grow my bones back. Elizabeth, I mentioned in class about an issue about fungal toenail, how to clear it and how long it would take. Looks like a generational issue. Well, we're not really dealing with toenails, but let me just give you an answer to that. So the first thing is the movement you use, because it's an illness, remember? It's an illness. So what movement are we going to use? We're going to use the chopping movement, right? So that would be the first thing you do. And then you check on the clearings. So you'd do clearings on the fungus itself, but you'd also check for where problem programs might be running. Let's see. Atheist thought forms, meaning it can't heal, this is the way it always is. Cycles, holographic inserts, mechanisms, permeations. That looks like that would be the list of clearings from the big list for fungal toenail. I'm not going to repeat things, so if I give you an answer, please write down, and then you'll get the video if you need to watch it again, or the replay. So I'm going to try and answer, since we have 450 students here. If I give you an answer, please don't ask me to give it to you again. Just watch the replay or get the transcripts, and that'll be the way, or write it down. Okay. What is the pump? How is it done? And so, Irene, I think that you must have missed the beginning of the class because we just went through that. What's the pump? How is it done? And ideal time per day. So again, we've already done the pump. The pump is this movement. The quantum pump is this movement. The chopping is this movement, and the doorknob is this movement. So folks, please try to come on 10 minutes early so I don't repeat myself 4 or 5 times with the same thing. And I love you all, and I know sometimes it doesn't always work out to get it in class on time. But I will review things at the beginning of class, and it'd be so amazing to just have that land. The pump moves the quantum field, so we're part of the quantum pleasure field, and because of that, or we're part of the quantum field, everything is particles vibrating. So Julie Renee is particles vibrating. My necklace is particles vibrating. The globe, the flowers, the vase, everything is particles vibrating. And based on how the particles are vibrating, you get a good or bad result. And so what we're doing is we're doing a technique that shifts the way the particles are vibrating to actually improve your health, your vitality, your wealth, your whatever we're working on. So you have it set an intention with your mind, and then you pump with your hand, and it shifts the particles. And so, you know, you've heard great people through the ages say, whatever the mind can believe and conceive, it will achieve or accomplish. And so that we understand that we know this hand movement is the movement for regeneration. It is the movement for clearing, and it shifts and clears the quantum field in such a way that improves your life. So that's what that is. Everybody keep pumping. We're pumping for the clearings right now while I'm answering questions. Let's see. Bad knees. You can muscle test. This is for Iris on bad knees. People who, yes, it could be bad joints, but in the chart I mapped out, it's different for each joint, so you can muscle test and see how long you would pump for each joint. So it will be unique, but yeah, achy joints. Bad knees might be they're swollen quite a bit, they hurt quite a bit. That kind of a thing might be what you consider bad knees. But achy joints, that might be a level of bad knees that's maybe not as bad as like swollen knees. Okay, and the testing for yourself, that's muscle testing. What I recommend is to do it 5 times a day for 6 weeks. You usually can clear up whatever's in the way, and I do plan eventually to do a chart on clearing for muscle testing. Muscle testing, sometimes it has to do with like alien or something interfering, owning your muscles themselves. And so you might test to see, or just work on clearing, owning your muscles. And sometimes that happens when you're very athletic. You can own your muscles. Okay, let's see. Well, they're two different. If you want to remove toxicity and regenerate, those are two different processes. And so yes, you would split the time. You don't do them at the same time. Obviously, what we're doing right now for another 3 minutes is we're doing the clearing, and then we'll go to the regeneration. So yeah, they don't happen at the same time. Yeah, can you pump for one body part at a time? That's actually what I recommend. Because we just have an hour together. I'm hoping some of you will come into the immersion program where we get 7 or 8 hours together, and then we really actually do finish the project. So what I'm doing here is getting you started on everything, and then you'll have pumping to do for yourself too, to get it to completion. Okay, Mary has a blood disorder. Does bone work help with that, since blood is made within the bones? I don't think so, Mary. I don't think so. We are gonna, we do have the heart, and I think that might be a place where you could ask about blood again when we're working on the heart next week. I think the heart is next week. I do have a long-standing chronic dysfunction in musculoskeletal system, which is due to PTSD. Many movements are painful and cannot carry weight, and only sit or lay in very soft padded cushion. Can I use self-regeneration also for this, or what else would I use? And that's for Ganga. And Ganga, I would say, you know, one of the things that you want to think about is really doing a deeper level of clearing on the PTSD. And you have the lists and the charts, so you could just start really removing, because post-traumatic stress is trauma from this life, and probably triggered from also trauma from past lives. It might also be something on cycles and timelines that you could clear. Bloodline, which is clan. So those would be good things to really investigate and clear for yourself. I think you could get a lot better. Okay, we are at the point where I'd like to start. So let's just test and see how much we've got cleared. We've gotten about 40% clear. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the bone regeneration now. And so you'll want to do more clearing for yourself. Let's go on up to the bone regeneration. And so the 3 areas that are possible today that we're going to be including are the spine, the knees, and the hips. And I just suggest that you might just pick one of those and focus on really improving one part, and then you could improve the next part and the next part. So just if everybody's working on knees right now, or if everybody, you know, whatever, I think I'm going to start with working on knees because I think that's foundationally so many people have trouble with knees. So I'm going to start with the knees, but you can do the hips, the knees, or the spine. And we'll all be in alignment because we're working on that, imagining the tree roots. Again, just to give you that idea, the tree roots are integrating with each other. So they're growing back together and they're filling out, and the bones are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're regenerating. So the knees, yeah. And Myrna says she has a psychiatric pinched nerve. So does that mean it's psychiatric? Means it's psychological? So you know, the pumping I think is the way to go, Myrna. I think just look for where the problems are, if it's in bloodline, or you know, it might be in the emotions, might be in the emotional brain, and you can pump to clear that. Pumping clear scoliosis. Yeah, eventually, I think so. Yeah, I've actually with the bones folks, I've seen an older gentleman in his 80s grow 1.5 inches over the course of a year. He had lost 3 inches of, you know, his spine had decayed. He had lost 3 inches and he grew himself back. I saw a lady, 76, had 2 broken ribs, and in 20 minutes we were able to grow her ribs back so they didn't hurt anymore. She said it felt like warm oil while the broken bones were mending. Felt like just really soothing warm oil as the bones grew back. A man that I met at a business convention had a torn ligament in his knee, couldn't actually bend his knee, and he'd been kind of suffering with it, and it was really torn. We healed 75% of it in 7 minutes. In other words, we grew back quite a bit of it in 7 minutes. Well, there were a bunch of people standing around at a convention. Cassandra says, my bones crack with simple movement in the colder weather. Anything specific I need to focus on? And yeah, I would say, you know, when you have that kind of bone degeneration, you want to really focus on, first of all, removing every program for bone degeneration and then restoring all the bones of your body. So doing exactly what we're doing, but just do the entire muscular or the entire skeletal system. So you want to restore the entire skeletal system. And remember, I showed you a picture of what the bones look like with osteoporosis, how they look kind of crispy as opposed to spongy. And so you want to get yourself back to spongy. You want that spongy bones. See, Lori's got an issue with her toe, and everybody's pumping because we're doing the regeneration now. So on a toe issue where she twisted her toe and then got sciatic nerve, you know, that looks like it would be like a manipulation from a chiropractor. I mean, you can pump to clear the problems, but I also just wonder if it just things need to be put back in place, Lori. So you can pump and you can see if you can put it back with pumping, and otherwise I think chiropractors are our friends. We like chiropractors. So sprained ankle, not fully healed. That would be the same thing, that shoeing. You would clear, if it didn't fully heal, there's probably some dark energy. You're probably not owning your ankle. Let's see, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 10% you're owning that ankle. So you want your ownership of the ankle to go back up to 100%. So that would be, I would clear the dark energies and all the controlling energies that aren't allowing your ankle to heal. Because if you own your ankle 100%, it would heal, for sure. My daughter Maria has double scoliosis. Can we help that? And that's with Christopher. Yeah, I think so. I mean, everything takes time. If it's a really serious dis-ease in the body, it's going to take time. It might take a few years to really reverse that. But yeah, you do the exact same steps for that. So any illness of the bones, you do this exact same process. And I'm going to give you the chart so you can go through, and just the times for clearing will be different times. That's all. So, yep. And then Angela, let's see, arthritis and calcium buildup, both a disease, and use chopping. Yes. And I have to use right hand or switch while pumping. That's a good question. If your right hand is tired, you can go to your left hand. If you can't use your right hand, there's something wrong with your right arm or your right hand, you can use your left hand. I use the right hand as the first choice because it's our outer action hand. Our left hand is our receptive hand. But honestly, you can move the blueprint with the right or left hand, the right or left foot. Hands, right hand is 100%, left hand 100%, 99%, pretty much 100%. Right foot, 80%, left foot, 60%. So I think, you know, use what you have available to use, and you'll get it done. And it might be a little bit slower if you have to pump with a foot or something, but it'll get done. And then imagining, that's about 50%. So if you can't use your hands, you know, you can use your imagination. And I think you could eventually get your imagination up to 100%. So I think, you know, you just have to work on it for yourself. Okay. Okay. I know I'm not getting everybody's questions, but I'm getting a lot of questions. Annie, I have osteoporosis and several fractures in the lumbar region. Oops. In the thoracic and curving. How's the best way I can heal? Well, exactly what we're doing. So you clear the programs for osteoporosis and bone disease, bone illness, and then you clear the list of the clearings in amplification and perception, emotions, DNA. You clear the spiritual interferences, and then you do the regeneration. So understand that you can completely remove the program for osteoporosis from your body. Excuse me, hiccups. So you can completely remove the program for osteoporosis, just like you can completely remove the program for Alzheimer's. You remove it and it's gone forever. So if you follow these steps, you can remove the program for bone illness or bone disease, and then you work on the regeneration. One of the things that I've noticed is that folks really struggle if they've had something a long time. They have what I call atheist thought forms. And what those thought forms are they're the belief that you can't heal. And so it's the funny thing, but there's like this unconscious, no, it's the way it is. No, that's always the way it is. That's what the doctor told me. Medical control energy can get in there. So you want to work on relieving the medical control energy and the atheist thought forms. And then bloodline. I think bloodline is always so strong in these cases because bloodline is kind of that hard clan energy of like, follow the line. This is what the clan believes. So you want to really work on removing that too. Okay, let's see. Patricia, we're only using the quantum pump for this. So there isn't a chart for this. I think we're only using the quantum pump for regeneration, and you can use the chopping for the removal of illnesses. And when we go into really complex, like all the different spiritual parasites and things, there's a number of different hand movements, and I do have a chart, but that isn't what we're working on today. If you came into the Freedom from Spiritual Parasites and Pests, you would get all the charts on all the different hand movements there are. This is really a very simple class. We're using the pump for regeneration. 100% of the time, you use the pump for regeneration. 100% of the time, you can use the pump or the chopping movement for removing illnesses. So those are the two that you would really need for these protocols. And then if you did come into an advanced class, you would get the charts for the spiritual parasites and things like that. But we're not really working on them in this class. We're working on regeneration in this class. Why, Julie, why the pain in the bones intensifies during and before rain? That's pressure. That's a weather pressure system that can activate bone pain, but that's demonic. So you want to clear up the demons from your joints. Many times we get skeletal problems because the bones are not aligned correctly due to birth defects or age-related changes. Is it possible to improve alignment and the best hand movement? Yeah, it is. And it's just a pump, quantum pump. I'm telling you the truth. We don't, if you're working on regeneration or working on the body, you're doing the quantum pump. That's the hand movement. Yeah, I might be able to find a picture of me from a few years ago because I have worked on aligning my face. I was hit by a car walking, and so the side of my face was smashed in. Let me see if I can show you what I looked like a few years ago and what I look like now. And you'll see, because that was done with a quantum pump. Let's see here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Oop. Sorry about that. I hope that wasn't terribly noisy. Okay. This takes us into this.
What can I say?
And this takes us into this. There we go. Okay. May it be with the blessings of the Supreme Being that whatever happened during this session be a blessing to you. Okay, so this is about 7 years ago, and you can see that my face is very asymmetrical. It's still a little asymmetrical.
Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Julie Renee, and I'm a spiritual life coach.
Yeah, so you can just see that the face is like pushed up on one side, the head was pushed up, the bones. Do you see how the structure is really off here? And that was from a car accident that I had pushed this side of my face in. So I just want you to, and then look at me now. There we go. And so there's a lot less of that. It's more symmetrical. So yes, you can realign things with the quantum pump. You definitely can. It's a work in progress. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so Myrna is saying that she has a problem with her sciatic in the hip, left side, can't walk. And so you're just going to do the same thing, Myrna. You're just going to clear that and then regenerate the hip. So you want to clear the dark energies. When you have a difficulty like walking, like you have pain in your feet, in your hips, in your knees, when you have those kinds of pains, you want to clear it's that you don't own the joint anymore. So you want to clear the dark energies or the controlling energies that own the joint, and then do the regeneration. Penny says, why is it not so easy to regrow a bone as opposed to regeneration? It's very easy. I don't think you understand me. It's very easy to grow the bone. And it's actually even easier than like regenerating nerves or things like that. Bones are the easiest thing to regenerate that I know. So I think the one thing that holds people up from the bone stuff is A, they don't own their bone, and B, they don't believe it's possible. And so you have to deal with the atheist thought forms and the control energy. So, and then bones want to grow back. They grow fast. They really, like the lady who had fallen and broken her 2 ribs, literally in 20 minutes, we grew back the broken bones for her. So I'm giving you all the different steps that you can do to really restore something. When we're looking at something like a degenerative knee or a degenerative hip, you're looking at the breakdown of stuff that is more complex than just healing a broken bone, which the mending of a bone happens really fast. So Iris is saying health of the spinal cord is important in many ways. How do we eliminate mineral deposits from the discs, especially between the shoulder blades? And how do we recreate blood flow between the discs and to the disc? Cause hand movement and how long? Causes in hand movement. Well, if you're removing a deposit, like I said, if there's a buildup or a deposit, it's a double, it's a chopping movement. But I would work on really, holding that vision of the spinal fluid flowing beautifully and the connections being wonderfully made. You can restore disc by disc. I did map out, let me just show you what you're getting for your homework. So you can see the second page. So hips are mapped out here, and also spine. And so 40 hours of pumping on a bad vertebrae, meaning if your vertebrae is collapsed, if you've lost 30% of a vertebrae, or if it's ruptured or whatever. I mean, a bad vertebrae, you're going to have to pump quite a while, 40 hours per vertebrae. If you have a healthy spine, 7 hours of pumping for the spine is good. If you're removing something, again, it's the chopping, it's the double pump. And if you're regenerating something, restoring something, it's the single hand movement. And then just so you can see here too, the hips are mapped out. If you have bad hips, you're going to pump about 80 hours to make some headway on restoring the hips. Average hips, like normal healthy hips, about 2 hours can restore freshness in the hips. Isn't this fun? Yay! Well, lots and lots of questions I can see. Let me just see if I can answer some from people who haven't had a chance. I've answered some from people who've asked a couple questions. Let's see. Does it happen when working on one bone knee that the healing takes place in the other part as well? That's a good question, Paula. And you can test and see if you're set up to have it happen that way. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But what I've seen is one knee will go to good, and then the second knee will go to good. Like it'll just start in one area, and once that area has gone to 100%, the second area will start going to the 100%. The other thing that's really cool is we have this mirroring process. And even if you're not consciously working on it, one knee will mirror to the other knee, or one hip will mirror to the other hip. Hey, this is how we now function. Unfortunately, sometimes, have you ever noticed somebody has a knee problem or a hip problem, and that knee has been really troublesome, and all of a sudden the other knee is troublesome too? It's because the knees are mirroring to each other and showing each other how we behave. And so what you want is you want the mirroring effect to behave at the higher function level, obviously. So that's what we're really looking for. So that was good. And Barbara, the arthritis, yes. I probably will be doing a class on arthritis mid-year, so you can keep your eyes open for that. Definitely the chopping will help. I think there's implants and inserts and some things with arthritis that kind of keep arthritis spinning out. And I haven't mapped it all out yet. So, but it is something that I'm very passionate about getting the answers to. So in the meantime, you can chop, you can remove the programs for arthritis. You can go through the whole list, the bloodline, and let's see, demonic curses, satanic curses, trauma, and DNA. So you can clear that stuff out and work on, really refreshing the joint and owning the joint. I think that's one of the things. I'd seen some holographic inserts in joints that were affected by arthritis. So that's another thing to look for, is the list of the mechanisms and seeds and anchors that get in there. Can popping be related to dehydration? This is from Marianne Johnson. And yeah, I get a 80% true. So yep, that sounds like it's possible. Penny, I think so. It's just that it's so, like the mind has to believe it for it to actually happen. So I think so. I mean, we have the reptilian brain, and what we've done on the inside is grow back organs that have been surgically removed. The phantom limb remains, so meaning that on the blueprint in the etheric, the leg is still there if it was amputated. So on the etheric level, it's still there. But it's the mind that really stops it from happening. So. And for folks, I see bunions and that kind of stuff. That's all excess calcium buildup. You want to do the exact same thing that I've been talking about with the chopping and clearing bloodline and that kind of thing. So that would be the same. Why does DNA reset to dis-ease? It doesn't necessarily, but if you don't actually address the reset in the DNA, when you go to sleep, just like the computer, you turn the computer off and then it resets and comes back on, it'll reset to the old program. So you have to clear the old program out of the way if you found that that's a problem with you. So you want to go into the DNA. We have a DNA class, Designing Your DNA. I think it's next month or in the next couple months. Very, very wonderful class. You'll be learning how to really rewrite your DNA for a better DNA, better information in the body. The DNA has millions of pieces of information. 97% of it is great. 3% of it, you can probably take it or leave it. And that was from Andrea. And Linda, if you are pumping for another person, do you need to be physically with them, or can it be done remotely, such as a small child? Always have permission. Do not pump for people who didn't ask you to pump for them. And small children, if they are yours, and or you have permission from the parents, because you're changing the way they're designed, and they may have created a problem for themselves so that they could learn and grow from it. So, and then it doesn't matter where you are, because we're all part of the quantum field. So you can pump from wherever you are. Tess says, I love what you're said about owning it. Inside work, quantum pump clearing, and outside support with additional protocols and activities, working together to support and facilitate regeneration. Mind-focused thought important. You're right on this is working. It is working. And I think that we can get some pretty big miracles out of this class. So understand that, let's see, regeneration is possible. I've grown back, surgically removed tonsils. And 6 months later, I went into the doctor and he couldn't believe it. He was looking at that. Where did those come from? And they were completely normal size, adult sized tonsils 6 months later. Grew back my adenoids. Restored my vision. I wore glasses from 18 to 46. I haven't worn glasses since. So restoration, I'm working on growing back my thyroid that was surgically removed, and my uterus and ovaries right now, and I'm reading that they're growing back. So I'm getting very strong tests when I'm testing that they're coming right back in. So understand it's about clearing, and especially clearing the atheist thought forms, the medical control energy, and then it's about really focusing and working on it. So then I would test, when do I need to do another regeneration on my thyroid or my uterus and ovaries? When do I need to do that? Yesterday, we did an amazing class for women on really regenerating the whole female baby making equipment. And next week, we're going to be doing the same, the sex glands and organs for men, just regenerating those parts, the boy parts. And believe me, it's very, very doable. I am understanding also in Russia, they have some kind of wave technology, and I've seen some videos on it, and people have grown back, you know, uteruses. I had seen a video where a lady, it was in Russian, but I figured it out, had a tiny little uterus in her body after she'd had a hysterectomy. Like 6 months later, there was a tiny little uterus in there, like the size of like a 8-year-old's uterus or something. So it was growing back in her. So this is totally, we have it in our blueprint to grow everything back and to live for hundreds of years. That is how we are designed. We are meant to live hundreds of years. So, and we're meant to live healthy, and we're meant to live with our teeth and our jaw and our gums and our bones. So no one would want to live hundreds of years if their hips hurt. You know, that would not be fun. But when you start thinking about owning your body, and really owning it powerfully, I own my joints. And maybe some of you, it's physical therapy, where others of you, it's exercising. But, you know, I think with bones, I think the number one thing you can do is move your body. Walking is wonderful. If you haven't done a lot of exercise, get out and walk. I'm doing light weights, I'm doing yoga, and doing hiking on the mountain, straight up the mountain and straight down the mountain. So giving my bones and my muscles a good workout. So I encourage you to do the inner and outer action. Okay, so we will be sending you the replay, the audio, the video, and the slides from today, as well as today's chart. And then on the very same page, you'll have last week's audio, video, transcript, and charts. And there were many charts sent out last week. We sent a bunch of them to you. Those are, we won't be re-putting them into every class. So you want to just be sure to grab those if you want to print them out or save them in your computer. And my suggestion is you bookmark the page for the class, the delivery page, so that you can just pop right in when you want to. Okay, you guys, I love you. God bless you. Have an amazing week. Tomorrow, by the way, is your Year of Miracles. There we go. We changed the name from Golden Age. Your Year of Miracles is tomorrow, and we're regenerating the entire energy body, the chakras, the aura, the golden rings, the human access portal. And every month we have a 3-hour mini retreat where we are regenerating the body in your year of miracles. So if that's something that's of interest to you, if you like the idea of doing the entire body over the course of time and doing 36 hours of regeneration, hop on with me, sign up for that class. And I love you. I'll see you very soon. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.